Mica Miller's 911 call has been released, and I'm going to let you hear that. Also have a video of the fisherman that found Mica's belongings discussing what he heard that day of Mica's death. There is also a post circulating about 2 different women who claim to be victims of JP's. One of the victims discussed how she was SA'd. The other one was a victim at an early age, but she was a minor, the same age as Mica at 14. I also have several police documents, and in one, Mica is upset about the lewd messages and the video calls she received from JP. If you're unfamiliar with this case, make sure you watch my first video. I will link that down below in the comments. Hello, my name is Holly. Welcome to the MurderSheShed, the place we discuss rarely told true crime and also breaking cases right here from my little she shed. Make sure you smash that subscribe button in order to keep up with me in this big YouTube world. I mean, a southern gal can get lost in here. April 27, 2024 at approximately 2:54 p.m. Robeson County 911 Communication Centers received a 911 call from a female. The caller asked the dispatcher if her phone could be located because she was going to kill herself and wanted her family to be able to find her body.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
You don't know where you're at?
In National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from? Where's the park located at?
In Bear Bluff. I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Time my phone is on. Just did my share on my location.
Okay, I'm showing, I don't think you are in Robeson County. Are you at the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Tell me what's, happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
During the investigation, a black Honda Accord with a South Carolina registration was located in the parking lot at the state park. The investigators confirmed that the vehicle belonged to Mica Miller. Investigators located a gun case in the passenger seat of her vehicle and a box of ammunition in the center console of the vehicle. During the search of the park for the 911 caller, investigators were approached by a fisherman who had found a bag near the water edge with an ID belonging to Mica. The fisherman stated that he had heard someone actually crying, and then he heard a shot while he was fishing. Law enforcement continued the search, and 911 received a call from an individual who stated that a body was located in the water. Law enforcement responded to the location and contacted the North Carolina Medical Examiner's Office. A gun was located in the water at the crime scene during the search of the area. The serial number on the weapon matched the gun box that was actually found in Mica's Honda. Mica's phone was also found, and when they got on the phone to search it, it revealed that she conducted a Google search for national parks near me, and the Lumber River State Park location was actually provided. The investigation also revealed that Mica and her estranged husband, J.P. Miller, had been separated and were involved in the legal system. This information led to the investigators confirming the whereabouts of J.P. and Susie Skinner, who is allegedly romantically involved with J.P. As we know, we've seen pictures of them together, which I showed you in my last video. Investigators were able to confirm that both individuals were not in North Carolina on the night before and the day of Mica's death. Investigators learned through interviews that JP was at an athletic event in Charleston on the day of Mica's death. JP's vehicle was observed traveling on Highway 17 bypass at 2:22 p.m. that day. The investigation confirmed that JP was accompanied while traveling to and from the event in Charleston. On Tuesday, May 7th, The sheriff, investigators, and the ME met with the parents and immediate family members of Mica. JP was given the opportunity to attend a separate meeting, and he indicated through his attorney that he would not come to North Carolina to meet with the investigators. Investigators conducted several interviews and developed a timeline of events in relation to Mica's death on April 24th. 11 a.m., Mica was observed on her Ring camera arriving at a residence in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. 11:38, Mica was observed on her Ring camera leaving her residence. 12 p.m., Mica is observed on store surveillance walking into Dick's Pawn Shop. 12:13, Mica is observed at the register and initiates the purchase of a weapon. 12:34, she is observed leaving Dick's Pawn Shop after purchasing a weapon and ammunition. 1:06, Mica's black Honda is observed traveling on Highway 501. 1:27 p.m., Mica's black Honda is observed arriving at a grocery store. 1:35, Mica is observed leaving the store after purchasing a drink and gas. 2:54, that's when she called 911. The fisherman that was out there that day and witnessed or heard the gunshot and heard her crying now discusses what happened that day.
Well, I got here about 11:30 that morning and started fishing.
Okay, 11:30.
As I had decided that I was gonna quit fishing, I came back through. I stopped at what they call a slough or a lake in the river. It's just a lake off of the river. So I poured in there with my little boat. And maybe 5 minutes after getting into the slough, I heard a cry, a faint cry.
What time was that?
Probably around 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
It was broad daylight. Broad daylight. But anyway, I just kept hearing the cry.
Was it down here, or was it when you got in there?
It was when I got inside of the lake. Yeah.
You heard a faint cry.
Heard a faint cry. Heard it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Then I stopped. I heard a gunshot. Then and the crying stopped. And I said to myself, "Oh my God, I hope that's not what I think's happened." So I was going to leave, but I happened to look at the end of the lake, and there was a little opening that would take me to the back of that. So I decided just to go in there with my boat. And when I did that, that's when I found Mica's belongings laying up on the bank. So I got out of my boat, picked the belongings up, looked at them, put her cell phone was laying outside of the bag, and her glasses also. I picked those up, put them in the bag, looked around a little bit, got back into my boat, came back to the landing, loaded it up. I left out. The law was there. I stopped and talked with the law, asked them did they know a Mica Miller. He said, "How do you know Mica Miller?" I said, "Oh, wait a minute now." I said, I found her belongings, and I told him my story, about hearing the crying and hearing the gunshot and the crying stopped. God, there's a lot of emotions. I had never been in the middle of something like this,
Right.
I'm still, till this day, being bothered by it, because all I hear is her crying in my ear all the time.
Right.
Wondering what if I could have made a change, if I'd have just would have went in there.
Yeah. And
for the record, I could not see nothing because it was so thick. From where I was at, I could not see because the woods were so thick. I could not see anybody. And around here, around Robinson County, you just don't run in on somebody. Run in on somebody and check on them because you don't ever know what's going on. I felt like something was wrong, but I wasn't going in there to check,
right.
For fear of my life or
your
whatever.
life, right.
This is an email sent by JP to Mica ahead of her unaliving. The email says, "Hey Mica, I hope you're doing well. I'm ready to be done and move on and heal and find a first lady who won't treat me the way you are." Maybe he meant you do. "I really hope you do great things. I was willing to do anything. I even had the amazing desire to have kids since you're not on your meds. And I want to apologize for the flowers and fruit. It was already paid for to last until your birthday. Feel free to give it all away. I sent that to you before I found out all the things that I've recently found out about you and what you've done, and you disgust me. So please let's meet and be divorced and let this nightmare be over. You disgust me. He's telling her that after everything he's done to her. There are several documents that have been released of JP tracking Mica and also of him sending her lewd texts and performing acts on a video call. Complainant states she located a heavy-duty tracker on her vehicle, wants to turn over as evidence, believes her husband placed on her car. This is where the lewd messages were sent. The document on that on 6/23/22. Cops received a phone report from the victim stating that she received lewd text messages and photographs from the offender while she is at home. The victim states she also received a video call from the offender while he is performing an obscene act on 6/8/22. They spoke with the offender who stated he was in the city jurisdiction during the time of their video call. This is just so creepy, this one. On February 21st, 2024, cops went out and referenced the report of a stolen vehicle. Mica was the person that had a stolen vehicle, and she told them how she had been separated from her husband since January 2023. She stated that she was involuntarily hospitalized on 2/8/24 and left her Honda Accord parked in the Walmart parking lot. When she was discharged from the hospital, staff informed her that her husband picked up her purse and car keys while she was in the hospital. When she got out of the hospital, she returned to the Walmart parking lot and discovered that her vehicle was gone. She believed that her husband fraudulently initiated her involuntary hospitalization and stole her car while she was in the hospital. She stated that she has known her husband since she was 10 years old. That was new information on me. I don't think they was dating when she was 10. I don't think that's till 14, but I didn't even know they knew each other when she was 10. And that he groomed her while she worked for him at Solid Rock Church until they married 6 years ago. They then contacted the husband, who said that she suffers from mental health disorders. And she was having one of her episodes, he said. So that's why he took her car. But he pointed out the fact that the vehicle was marital property and that he is unwilling to give it back to his wife for a month, which he stated was usually the time frame of these reckless episodes. JP filed a report about how he was being harassed because Mica discussed her abuse on social media and how this was messing up his reputation. Complainant says he is being harassed on social media and by text by his wife, and her family would like to make a report about it. The cop looked at the wife's Facebook post where she talks about her abuse. There were no names mentioned and no intent or harassment on the platform. He then stated that he was a pastor and he was worried about his reputation. Also, this document of where he attempted to get into Mica's home after the unaliving. Could he have been trying to get that binder or journal in which Mica detailed her abuse that was both mental, physical, and sexual? I mean, they're saying there's a binder that does exist, and if you watch my last video, it's got some rather weird stuff on it. According to another document, Mica reported to police that a razor blade was placed in her tire at the Spring-Made Pier. She claimed this was the second time a razor had deflated her tire within that week. The report said that Mica was leaving the pier. She heard a pop and noticed metal protruding from her tire. The responding officer said the metal was a tire deflation device that could be bought online. She believed it was JP that popped her tire, and she also reported strange activity and believed people were following or watching her. When Mica went to get her tire fixed at a gas station, JP pulled up next to her pump and tried to talk. She told him to go away and that she did not want to talk to him. When she pulled out her phone to record, he then reportedly sped off. Mica then left the gas station to go back to East Coast Honda, where JP, guess what, showed up again. While an officer was standing with Mica, she received a no-caller ID call, which ended up being JP. JP was advised that Mica did not want any further contact, and if he proceeded, the warrants may be written up. According to the officer, JP acknowledged the advisory. Mica told the officer she was afraid for her life. She also said that she blocked JP's number and would still get calls and texts from him, other numbers. After the officer left, Mica contacted him to say the mechanics found a tracking device on her vehicle. About an hour later, Mica also notified the officer that she was at the magistrate's office to get a restraining order. The officer requested to meet her to get the GPS device. While out front of the magistrate's office with Mica, the officer saw a Honda Accord slowly drive by, and Mica said it was JP in her car. The vehicle then sped up and drove away. So as you can see, he stalked her a lot. And so no wonder people felt that he murdered her. And some still believe that. Even after seeing the recordings, they still believe it because he was a nasty guy. He is a nasty guy. An ex of JP's has posted about how he dated her when she was 14 years old, just the same age as Mica was when he started grooming her. While posting updates, I'm going to speak out on the Mica Miller case. I am an ex of John Paul Miller. I was 14 years old and he was 19. I was a child, but at the time I didn't see an issue, but at 19, obviously, he should have. We dated for a year and I found out he was dating his first wife, Allie, while they were together, unbeknownst to her. She later found out he lied about it as it continued to do about the multitude of infidelities the remainder of their marriage. This has been hard to watch and keep quiet about, but I feel it is time to be transparent. I attended and graduated from Grand Strand Academy, later renamed Cathedral Hall Academy, the church and school his father founded and was headmaster of, which later became Solid Rock. I dated John Paul and dealt with a small amount of abuse comparatively. JP also contacted me inappropriately after Allie finally left him due to infidelity around 2016, and he was not remorseful of his actions. What I did witness with myself and my siblings as members of the church as teenagers is the overall abuse from JP and his father, Dr. Reginald Wayne Miller, to others. Also visited many state parks with JP, visiting his dad because he loved state parks to reconnect with God. They need do a lot of reconnecting apparently because they're evil. Myrtle Beach State Park is also where Dr. Miller, the father, was arrested with soliciting gay sex. You can look that up publicly, which I have seen that. I feel I've been a coward and not speaking out and dealing with this privately with my family, but I want to say we believe this was Mica's last and oh so important purpose is to stop this man from continuing to hurt others and to stop him as a representative of our Lord and Savior. Then another woman has posted about how he took her innocence inside of his father's church. Actually happened when JP was kind of young. I'm not even sure the age really. She said he was a party boy and a womanizer and was rebelling against his family when he was younger. But she said, this fateful day in July 1998, had started to go with my grandma to her Sunday school class in the academy building. I decided otherwise a few minutes later and headed to the church building where other classes were being held, but I wasn't sure where my papa went. So instead I headed to the sanctuary where JP and one of the guitar players in the church band were on stage messing around with instruments. They drew me into the conversation. At one point I walked out of the stage door and headed down the hall to the restroom. When I came out, JP was walking into his dad's office. He called for me and was asking about my week and a mutual friend of ours and inquired why she wasn't at church the last couple of weeks. She's one of my dearest friends, actually. Must have been another victim. So it didn't raise any red flags for me. Plus, I was probably just too naive and trusting anyway, to be honest. He nudged me over and closed the door, acting as if he was fumbling for something behind the door. Once the door was closed, he pinned me against the wall and proceeded to get extremely handsy and forceful. I won't go into details of the entire experience. I will tell you there was definitely a moment of dissociation as he held me down, ignoring my pleas, and began to strip me of my virginity and innocence. Right there in church on a Sunday morning, and it wasn't just he and I, peering from not far away was the man who played guitar every Sunday, watching with a grin on his face, letting me suffer under the torment of someone I thought was a friend. There's no telling how many victims he has, really. Apparently, JP has been released of his duties for a time at Solid Rock Church in order to heal and receive counsel and guidance. They take that man back into that church as a preacher after he heals. And something is very wrong with the people in that church. He's a wife cheater and abuser, and he might not have pulled the trigger, but he instigated this. He's also a predator. I mean, he even has abuse that's been documented. Like, he has charges against him. I mean, I'm sure the church knew this. One of the charges of domestic violence was from him trying to run over what I assume is his first ex-wife in a vehicle. It doesn't say specifically who this person was, but I'm assuming 1998 it was probably his wife or possibly a girlfriend. Either way, he's got some mental problems. I'm not sure why he was even a pastor at that church to begin with. They had to know his past, and it's very disgusting if they let him return to that church to preach. Like I said on my last video, even if he didn't pull the trigger, he is still guilty of her death because he drove her to it. He groomed her at 14, abused her, stalked her when she tried to leave, even though he already had another girlfriend by that point. He messed with her head in every way possible, and I do believe one day, when he has to face God, he will answer for what he has done to Mica. Well, I just wanted to get this update out to you guys, and as always, I love y'all, and hope you can join me and Simon again at the MurderSheShed. And here he comes. He don't feel good today. His tummy hurts, and he's kind of not real active today. He's just a sick boy today. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's having an upset stomach day. Occasionally he does do that. Kind of weird. But anyway, I just want to thank all the people that watched my last video. That's the most views I've ever had on a video, quite honestly. And I thank you to all the new subscribers. May you rest in peace, Mica. Bye.